Hello my friends, and welcome to this next video in the series where we should be looking at operators in JavaScript. Operators are signs or symbols used to perform mathematical and logical operations in JavaScript. And of course, in previous videos, we've already used some operators that we have in JavaScript. But in this video, we're going to be looking at them more closely. And as we work with these operators, we're going to be using them to manipulate some elements on our HTML page. So we can actually put up a paragraph or delete the content of a paragraph or update the content of a paragraph or throw an alert and things like that using these operators. Now, the first category of operators that we're going to be looking at is the arithmetic operators. Under the arithmetic operators, we have the addition operator, multiplication, division, modulus, exponential operators. And the way we use them is actually very simple. So we can actually create a variable, let me say value 1, and I'm going to say 2 plus 2. This right here is the addition operator, and we use it to add two numbers together. So if I were to log this value 1 variable to the console, value 1, and save, you see that we get 4 printed on the console. This is very simple, right? And this is the addition operator. We can also have the subtraction operator. So we can have 2 minus 2, and we're going to get 0. We can also do the multiplication operator, and we're going to get 4. We can also do the division operator right here, and we're going to get 1. So we've seen the symbols or signs that represent these operators. We've seen that of the addition operator, the multiplication operator, the subtraction operator, and now the division operator. What about the modulus operator? The modulus operator is represented by the percentage symbol. And what is this modulus operator? It's just an operator that returns the remainder in a division. So this right here is saying 2 divided by 2, give me the remainder. But when we divide 2 by 2, we don't have any remainder, right? So because we don't have any remainder, we get 0 as the value of 2 modulus 2. So when I save this, you see that we get 0 printed on the console. What if I say 5 modulus 2? 5 modulus 2 is saying, give me the remainder of 5 divided by 2. And the remainder of 5 divided by 2 is nothing but 1. So when I save, we see that 1 gets printed on the console. Now, there is something quite interesting about these operators, and that is true even in normal mathematics. So if I were to say something like 2 multiplied by 3 minus 1, what do we get as the answer? What do we get stored as the value of this value 1 variable right here? Now let's look at this. We're going to have 2 multiplied by 3 will give us 6. 6 minus 1 will give us 5. So the value can be 5, right? But we can also have 3 minus 1 will get 2, and then 2 multiplied by 2 will give us 4. So the truth is that we have the chance of getting either a 5 or 4 as the value of this value 1 variable. But first of all, let me save this, and you see that in the console we're getting 5. And that is because of what is called operator precedence. And operator precedence is nothing but the order in which arithmetic operations are performed. We use something called bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction to actually know how arithmetic operations will be performed. And that basically means that the multiplication or division that we have in a given operation will be performed first before addition and subtraction. And so that's why we have 2 multiplied by 3 performed first, and then we get 6, and 6 minus 1 now gives us 5. But sometimes we want our arithmetic operations to be performed in a specific way. And in that case, we can cover them or surround them with parentheses. So if I were to come here and open this parenthesis and open another parenthesis, what value shall we get inside of this value 1 variable. Let me save, and now we see that 4 gets printed instead. And that's because this one is performed separately. So 3 minus 1 will give us 2, and then 2 multiplied by 2 will give us 4. So we see that we've used this parenthesis to section off this part of the arithmetic operation. And that's why we're going to get 4. So remember, it is always important to pay attention to this operator precedence. Now let's look at the exponential operator. So exponential operator is just like saying something raised to the power of something. We can say something like 3 raised to the power of 3. So how do we do that? We say 3 raised to the power of 3. That is 3 multiplied by itself 3 times. That is 3 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3. And that's going to give us 27 right here. So this is operator that represents exponents in JavaScript. Now, what about strings? Because if you notice, we've been working with numbers, right? Can we add 2 strings together? Can we subtract 2 strings? Can we multiply 2 strings? Can we divide string by another string? Now, the truth is that we can actually add 2 strings together in what is known as concatenation. So if I were to say something like dom and then plus init like this, or let me use a lowercase I. Right here, I am actually adding 2 strings together. But in the case of strings, they're just going to be joined together as one. So when I save this, we're going to get Dominic printed on the console right here. So whenever we use the addition operator on 2 strings, what we're actually doing is concatenation, that is joining those strings together. Now, can we do something like dom minus or subtract init? What do we get? Let me save. And you see we get this funny value here that says NaN, which stands for not a number. So it means that this operator, the subtraction operator, does not work on strings like this. And if we were to say the multiplication operator, the same thing, we're getting the NaN. If we were to use the division, we get the same thing. The modulus, we get the same thing. And that's because dom right here, this is a string, right, is not a number. This one is also not a number. So when we're trying to perform some sort of arithmetic operations like this, using any of those arithmetic operators, we get not a number. The exception is the addition operator, in which case we're just joining the strings together. Now, the next category of operators that we want to look at is the assignment operator. The assignment operator is actually very simple, and in fact, we've used it right here. You can see this equal sign. This is the assignment operator, and it's used to assign a value, for example, this value right here, to a variable, for example, this variable right here. And that's why when we save, we're going to say Dominic right here, because value 1 now holds the value here. And this is pretty straightforward. And if we want to assign another value to value 1 variable, we can just easily delete this one and say maybe value 1 equals 2. And when we save, now value 1 is now 2. The assignment operator is indeed powerful. Sometimes we want to update the value of a variable. So for example, we want to increase this 2 by 3 and store it inside of the value 1 variable. That means we want the value 1 variable to become 5. What we can do is say value 1 is equals value 1 plus 3. And when we save this, now we get 5 printed on the console. And that's because here, this value 1 is 2, and we're saying 2 plus 3, that is 5. And 5 is getting stored back inside of the value 1 variable. So we are updating the value of value 1 variable. There is a shorter way to do this. We can use a shorthand. So instead of writing it like this, we can actually say value 1 plus equals 3. This will do the exact same thing. So when we save, we actually get it 5 printed on the console still. And of course, if I was to change this to 6, it means that we get 8 printed on the console, as we can see. And of course, we can also do it for the subtraction. So we'll say value 1 minus equals 6, we get minus 4 instead. If we're to say value 1 divided by equals 6, we get 0.3 instead. And we can even do the modulus. Now we get 2 instead. We can also do value 1 raised to the power of equals 6. That is value 1 exponential equals 6 and get 64. And so that's how we can use the assignment operator. We can use it simply by saying value 1 equals 6 like this, or value 1 equals 2 as we're doing here. Or we can also attach something at the front when we are trying to use it to update and assign a value at the same time. So we can say plus equals 6 like this. So this is updating and assigning at the same time. Let's actually try to put what we've learned together so far and work with the elements that exist on our HTML page. So for our HTML page, I'm going to come right here and put a paragraph, and I'm going to say text. And right below this paragraph, I'm going to put a button that says click to show name. So as soon as I save, I'm going to get the text right here, and I'm going to get the button right here. Now in my JavaScript code, I'm going to grab this text right here. So I'm going to store it in a variable, and I'm going to say let text1 equals document.querySelector, and then I'm going to say p. So what this is saying is that we just want to grab that paragraph right here, this one right here. It is the only paragraph inside of our HTML page. So I want to grab it by doing document.querySelector p. Although we've not talked in details about this sort of code, the document and the query selector and all of that, we're going to be doing that in a future video. But for now, we just know that we're going to grab this paragraph right here, the one that has text written inside of it, through this code right here. Okay. And then I also want to grab the button. So I'm going to say let btn equals documents.querySelector. I'm going to say button. So this is also doing the same thing. We're just grabbing the button that we have right here on our screen, the one that says click to show name. And that's what we've grabbed here, and we're storing it inside of a btn variable. And for the text1 variable, we're storing that paragraph right here. So what I'm going to do is actually create a prompt. So I'm going to say prompt, and prompt is going to be used to collect an input from our user. So I'm going to say please type a name, and whatever the user types, I'm going to store it in a variable. So I'm going to say let my name equals this right here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this to come on the next line so we can see everything at once. So I'll go to my view and then word wrap. So right now we can see everything at the same time. So we've actually been able to grab two things from our HTML page. We've grabbed the paragraph by saying document.querySelector p, and we're storing that paragraph in text1. And for the button, we're also grabbing it and storing it inside of the btn variable. And then we want to collect an input from the user through this code. So as we save this file, the user will be prompted to put in something, to type in his name or her name. And then whatever the user typed will be stored inside of the my name variable. And then we want to do something. We want to have this button clicked, so that when this button is clicked, we're going to have this text right here replaced with something like my name is whatever the user has typed as his or her name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say btn.addEventListener. So we want to listen for an event. That is, we want to know when this button is clicked. Click is one type of an event that can happen on an HTML element. We can click on something, we can hover around something, and so on and so forth. But we want to listen for when this button is clicked. So that's what I'm going to say, btn.addEventListener. And what do I want to listen for? I want to listen for a click event. And what should happen when this button is clicked? I'm now going to provide a callback function like this. So whatever I have inside of this function will be executed as soon as this button is clicked. So what I want to do is, when this button is clicked, I want this text to say my name is, and then whatever the user has typed as his name. And in fact, I'm going back to the home, and instead of text right here, I'm going to make it say my name is. Now we have my name is, and so when we click, that name will be added right here to the end right here. So going back to my JavaScript code, I'm going to say text1 right here dot inner text, that is the value right here. Currently text1 dot inner text is my name is, So I'm going to say test1.inner text plus equals, and then I'm going to say my name right here. So let me save this. And now we're prompted to type in a name, Dominic, and now that Dominic has been stored in my name variable. So let me click on this. Now you can see we have my name is Dominic right here. So now you see how we use this assignment operator to actually update the value of the text that we have on our HTML page. This is very cool. In the next video, we're going to look at some of the other operators that we have and see how we can work with them and use them to manipulate the content on our HTML page. See you in the next video. Please, my friends, like my videos and subscribe to my channel. It will go a long way in helping me to create videos like this.